Hi, Rowan. How are you?
I'm fine. Such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much, Siddharth.
You're most welcome. I was actually finding your stuff on Facebook really fascinating, so I thought let me reach out to you and thanks for giving me the opportunity to chat live to you. So please tell me about your journey to being an educator.
Okay. So, if you have to start with my journey being an educator, we'll have to look back a long time ago. I matriculated when I was in 2007. I was about 17 years old at that time.
Wow.
Um, and the honest truth behind everything was I was still so confused of what I wanted to become in life. I had 100 different options that was thrown at me. My heart was not set on anything at that time. And at that moment I needed to find myself. So the journey started me not doing education in the first place. I was doing civil engineering.
Wow.
So I started the journey of doing civil engineering, and I studied 3 years civil engineering at the Durban of University of Technology. And unfortunately, there were incidents there because of safety wise, and I did not have the funding and finance to get my own vehicle. So I had to take public transportation to campus. And unfortunately, because of safety wise, there was many incidents, unfortunately, that I had to stop regarding that. I then took my next step going to the UNISA, which is most commonly known in South Africa, UNISA, but University of South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I went there, and at that moment in time, I wanted to complete my BTech in civil engineering. And unfortunately, UNISA didn't want to give me any credits from the Durban of University of Technology. So they asked me to restart my 3 year sector. And at that moment in time, I decided not to do that. I didn't want to waste that 3 years and
Mm.
redo something I already did before. So my next step was at that moment in time, while I had my mom and sister as moral support that came with me to the university, at that moment in time, I made a decision that I wanted to get into management, and wanted to get into operational management. And I've got into operational management. I studied that for a year, and then I realized that was not my calling. That was not my calling. Um, then I realized that, you know what? Hold on. My mom, who has been like a single parent because I lost my dad at a very very young age.
Oh.
My mom has been my guide, my person for advice. Whatever I require, I go to my mom. And my
Mm-hmm.
mom is an educator. My mom is currently a school principal. At that moment in time, she was an educator, and I knew, being brought up with my mom, being a single parent, and she managed to raise myself and my sister in that manner in such a good way. I looked at my moment as I looked at that, and I also thought to myself, listen, I've also been working with kids all my life, even though I have not been set into a classroom as yet. As I, I want people to understand is that I'm also into the entertainment sector.
Okay.
So I was been running dance classes from the time I was, let me get this age right, from 10 years old. I say running dance classes, meaning I was the instructor and I was teaching learners that were smaller than my age as well as bigger than my age.
Wow.
And I started at that tender age, at 10 years old, taking my own dance instructing classes and so on. So I've always been in communication and I've always been in contact with children.
Mm-hmm.
That started off for many, many years, and I'm currently still doing that. Um, that what triggered me and realized that, you know what, I've been doing this for all these years. I've been working with children, not just in the just not haven't been in the education sector, but it has been in the arts and culture sector when it came to relating to teaching children about dance and music and so on. And when I felt that I had a relation to kids and kids took to me, and that is why my dance schools were successful. And I took that as a compliment, as a pat in the back, and said, you know what, this could be a direction for me to head into the education sector. Let me take all my experience that I have with all that I've used in the dancing sector, and let me try to transfer it into the education sector, use my same kind of techniques, use my same kind of strategies, and let's try to incorporate that into the education sector and make education a fun factor. That, together with my mom being an educator and together with my sister as well, also being an educator, as well as my wife currently being an educator, that was something that leaned into my direction of going into the heart of direction into education. And that is how my journey started. After that, I studied at UNISA. I completed my degree, and from there, after I completed my degree, I was very fortunate. The same year, I managed to get permanency at a school, and God has it that I got permanent to the school that I went to, and when I was in primary school. So I'm an educator at the same primary school that I attended currently, and it has been like
Wow.
that for the last 8 years. Yes.
Wow. So, who are the educators that you look up to?
There's so many. If you have to look at all the educators that played a significant factor in my life, that has shaped me, molded me into who I am today. And with all that being said, there's so many names to mention. But if there's a few that I can say on the top of my tongue, there are educators that have stepped. I've been in school in primary school. I've been to two different primary schools, and I've been to two different high schools. And in those four different schools that I've attended, I've had many teachers, many educators that has touched me in very, very, very important, significant ways in life. The way they have taught me morals, ethics, self-value, not just the academic personality. They've taught me the whole holistic approach of how it's supposed to be done. And when we grew up with such beautiful childhood, such beautiful memories of having such great educators, you just want to replicate, you just want to duplicate, and you just want to take it along and give it to the new generation, and let them understand how important and fun education can be. So
Oh.
in your question, you asked me the educators. There are many, many educators. I think every educator that steps foot into your classroom or steps foot in contact with you plays a significant role. It's how you take it as a person. It's what you want to learn from that person.
Mm.
And if your attitude is right, And if your attitude is right and you come with the right sense of attitude to learn, you will learn from any kind of educator, no matter what kind of strategy or what kind of technique they try to teach you. You will grasp all the positive things that an educator will try to implement to you. And I think that if you as a student can understand that and relate that to any educator, whether you find that educator in your own opinion, you find them a little bit boring, etc., as we
Mm.
hear learners say, you need to try to find ways to to make that lesson exciting, find exciting factors about that educator that you can take and learn from. I think that's very, very important. And I think that learners should try to take that technique and try to put that into the classroom and just try to make education so fun. Anything that is fun becomes very, very things that are fun becomes something that you'll always remember, something that will always get stuck in your head, and those things will be coming a positive way when it comes to your performance as a learner.
Okay. So, what have been your highlights thus far?
My highlights thus far in the education sector, I think, will be every single day. That will be my highlight in the education sector, because when you walk in a classroom or when you walk in the front gate of your school, and when you see the amount of lives that you impact and that you play a role in, and then you see the amount of souls that you touch every day, and that you make a difference in those lives, that is my highlight. Every single day that I enter my class, every single day that I come in interaction with the kids or the children in my school, and not just the learners, it's our whole staff, our support staff, our our governing body component, whoever we come in interaction with. I think that is my highlight, because every single day I come to school with my vast knowledge, but I come every single day to also learn. I, as the educator, don't stop myself from learning. I learn every
Mm.
single day. social, economics, finances, in whichever way, however way our community need us to understand them, we try and we learn. So my highlight every single day is a highlight for me as an educator.
Wow. So what have been your lowlights?
Ah, well, in the balance of the universe, where there's light, there shall be darkness. But it's not everything in
Mm.
darkness. But what I'm do saying is, yes, there's a lot of challenges being an educator. Not everything is a
Mm.
bed of roses. For
Of
those
course.
the, for those uh, people that are thinking of becoming an educator, you really, really, really need to make sure that you have the true passion to be an educator. You must have the love for teaching. And if you don't, then you'll be finding yourself in a very, very difficult situation. Reason being, as an educator, with the rights that has been set out, with the Bill of Rights, with the Bella Act, and with every other kind of act that comes out, it really, really handcuffs the teacher in the sense of uh, how to implement rules and how to implement actions towards ill-disciplined and ill-mannered learners. We know for a fact that we have learners that come from all types of society, all types of life in society. We know the social issues that causes factors in these learners' behavior. We understand them. But when you look at a public domain in which we are in, I'm in a public figure, and I have specifically, I have about 40 learners in a classroom that we're teaching
Wow.
at a time, sometimes more. In my Afrikaans class, I have 55 learners in my Afrikaans class. That's all in one classroom that we are teaching at
Mm.
one simultaneously in one class. And in that situation, there are we have learners that get distracted, we have learners that do not want to study or do not want to learn, and we get learners that want to disrupt the classroom.
Mm.
The factors in how educators can put these challenges right really, really lies more to the student than to the educator, in the sense that we don't have the rights as learners do. Educators must understand that when it comes to a school, the priority will always be on the child, no matter what the circumstances are. We believe that yes, discipline is very, very good. They have
Mm-hmm.
abolished corporal punishment in South African schools. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm an old timer. When I'm saying I'm an old timer, I'm an old school timer, and I'm sure you as well. We should get a slap on the wrist and now and then, or a small hit on the buttocks to put us right. Because sometimes in life, we need that little bit of that to put us in the right line. That steadied
Mm.
us, that made that generation steady, that made the generation shine.
Mm.
In today's life, I'm not in the favor of corporal punishment, because some people have abused that power.
Mm.
They
Mm.
have taken it to the next level. And that's why I don't blame the government for taking the action of abolishing it, because there were a lot of people that have abused that power of corporal punishment. But in that factor, all educators suffer.
Okay. So
All
what? Oh,
educators
sorry.
in South Africa suffer in the fact that
Okay.
our hands are tied when it
Mm.
comes to trying to sort out issues that are daily in our classroom, that affects the class, affects teaching and learning. And it's something that's a challenges, it's a barrier to learning, and we have to try to face it. We also come from a lot of domesticated issues, where we come from a house, children are coming from broken homes, single parents, staying with grandparents. Some of them don't even have any parents. Some of them are adopted, being stayed by foster parents. Grandparents are look after them. Auntie and uncles are look after them. So we look at all those factors, and we look at the community around us, and we look at everything that's around us, and we look at the drugs, we look at the violence, we look at the poverty, we look at everything that's around us, and we understand why psychologically these children act the way they do. but
Okay.
our challenge
Mm.
is but our challenge is working with the child
Mm.
one on one is good. Maybe a change can happen.
Mm.
But it is very, very difficult when you're trying to teach 55 learners or 45
Mm.
learners in a classroom. You're trying to get your academic across to them. You're trying to finish off your curriculum. You're trying to finish up your syllabus. You're trying to go with your annual teaching plan that you have to go by. that they give you week in and week out directives and direction of how to go and where to go. And then when you have all these other factors like bullying, fights, and any other kind of absenteeism, and you get all these other kind of factors that relate into these things, our teaching becomes a very, very difficult thing to do.
Mm.
Low lights as well as an educator is our challenge is not just in the classroom. We
Mm.
are educators together. We are admins. We are together. We are parents to the kids. Together we are counselors to the kids. Together we are social workers to the kids. So our job is not just an educator. If you're thinking you are just coming to be an educator to work from 7 to 2 and you're going to go home and not worry about anything else, then you're in the wrong class of work.
Mm.
You being an educator relates you to be a 24/7 job all the time, anytime, because every child that you come in communication with or that you are interaction with, that becomes your responsibility in and out of school issues.
Wow. So, what are your plans for the rest of this year and beyond?
Well, I want to further my studying. I want to further my studying. As I mentioned, I have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old baby, and I didn't get a chance to complete my studies then. I've got my degree, but I want to take my studies much more further. I just waited for my kids to grow up a bit, and then I can get my studies back on track. But I would love to get my honors, my masters, and my doctorate into the education department, into the education field, learn as much as I can, and then maybe branch off into different aspects of that, and try to do one day when I'm doing my masters, hopefully do my own thesis. My doctorate with my own thesis, and maybe take it to a professor, who knows. But when it comes to education, anything is possible, and we as educators should take that advice the most. So yeah, I will want to continue my studies in education. That's how I would like to grow, and that's how I see my future in education. Hopefully, become into management position. Currently, I'm a mentor educator in my school, meaning that I'm in
Mhm.
control of my whole senior primary phase of educators. I'm the person in charge. So hopefully that I can, in a few years' time, with a lot of hard work, dedication, and continue with a lot of passion, that I can one day sit on the seat as becoming principal of my institution that I once attended as a primary school learner.
Okay, finally, what are your words of inspiration for upcoming educators?
Well, my words of inspiration would be, if you have a calling to be an educator, don't let anything or anyone stop you or try to set you off the rail. If you have a love and you have a passion for kids, then you definitely should be in the teaching department. No matter what I said today regarding the lowlights of my career as an educator, these things will happen in across any kind of field of work.
Mhm.
They all will have their different kinds of field of work, but in the education department, everything has a solution to it. You being an educator, you have to be a creative thinker, because you must be able to improvise and think on your feet. You'll be a parent, even if you're not one in realistically, but you'll be a parent to many other learners in the classroom.
Mm.
You will have to follow your heart. You will have to be an educator, but most importantly, you'll have to be a human being first. You'll have to understand your children. You must be able to talk to them. You must be able to listen to them. You must also be able to discipline them in the correct way.
Mm.
You must be able to correct them in the right way. You must be able to teach them holistically, holistic development. And just don't let education just be about maths and science. Education as a holistic development of a child should be everything that a child should be as a human being, as we see a successful human today. From learning morals and values and self-ethics, from learning respect, to learning how to deal with finances, how to do your own tax, from learning how to be business operated, from learning how to be helpful, kind, and respectful, learning how to be good in sports, creative arts, to be good in arts and culture, and to be good in academics, to be a pet lover, to be a nature lover, and to be a good human being all around. And I think that is what our world needs right now for our new generation coming up.
Well, I got to say that thanks so much for your time, and hopefully this is the first of many.
It'll be a pleasure. I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me on board.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. God bless you.
You too.